Welcome to the Professor's DuBois channel. This is Professor Victoria, and I'm here with Professor Corey as well. And we want to have just a short video to let you know some of the changes, or at least, we're expanding the use of Blackboard, and we want to show you how to get to things like how to get to live lecture, how to get to live office hours, how to get to live extra help, as well as recordings for all of these things, how to get access to the recordings. And so we just want to show you a few of these things to make sure that you can access lecture Monday morning. So here's Professor Corey.
All right, so this is my Blackboard screen, and it probably looks a little bit different than yours, but I imagine it's similar. And so over here we have the different chemistry courses, and you're only going to have one of these for your lecture in lab. And realize there's two sections of lecture, and we're going to combine this all into one. So depending on which section you're in, the process will be slightly different. So we're going to show both. So we'll start with the 9 o'clock. The 9 o'clock session should be able to just select the course, and over on the left, come on, we've created this Collaborate meeting room, and we also have class materials and link to Collaborate. Which should we go in?
The bottom one.
The bottom one? Okay. So if I go into this class materials, this is the same old class materials. We did throw a test in here, just testing the test and a survey. We were just kind of playing around, getting familiar with it. Hopefully you saw these things and you were able to check them out. If you weren't, it's not really a huge deal. But otherwise, everything's the same here and will continue to be. Do you want to talk about the test now?
Sure. Well, this is, if you notice, there's assessments. There's the little assessments drop down. So this is where we would put an exam or an assignment. So you will see, we're going to announce the tests and lecture and all of the schedule separately. But when you have an exam, you will see it in this folder. You will also get an email. It will be in the announcement sections as well. And you'll also have an assignment, which will be to upload your work for the exam. So it would be in this folder.
All right, so this is where you're going to see the class. It's in this Blackboard Collaborate, and I'm guessing that most of your classes are probably going to use this. They rolled this out to the instructors. They gave a bunch of training on it, and it actually works quite well. We're pretty happy with it. So I'm just going to select this, and we'll just kind of walk through some of the different things that you can do and see. So this is the whole picture here. I'm not sure if you'll have this create session. You may, but what you're going to want to do is just enter this course room. That's one way you can get right into the class. I just wanted to point out a couple things. Over here, we've got these 3 dots with the circle, and here we've got join course room, and we also have a dial-in. You can do this whole thing from telephone. So that's an interesting feature. A lot of people were doing this in the training sessions. They were actually just calling in and using the phone. You don't get video that way, but you can hear and talk. So some other stuff, I don't think we would use anything other than join course room or the dial-in from there. Another thing I wanted to point out is over here we've got, it's like a menu bar, 3 lines, and this is where the recorded lectures will be. So we're going to give these lectures at 9 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and everybody is welcome to jump in. We'll show you how to jump in, and what's nice about that is you could ask questions in real time, and I don't know, what other advantages are there? You get it out of the way really early in the morning, I guess. So, but we're going to record the sessions, and you could click on this recordings to see the session. So let's say you slept till 11, you missed it. It's okay. You can just come in here, click recordings, have your breakfast, and watch.
If you're in the 9 o'clock session. That's where you will get the recordings. We'll show you separately. If you're in the 10 o'clock section, there's another place to get to the recordings. So if you're in the 9 a.m., three dashes gets you the recordings.
All right, so I'm just going to close that, and I'm just going to jump in by clicking on this. And I could have done that on the right, too, from before. So again, this shows the dial-in number with a pin, and there's my join course room. So this is going to bring us in. It takes a second. So are you in?
I think I am. I'm going to pull it back up.
The neat thing about this room is we're just going to leave it open all the time. So literally, you can join in here anytime, and if someone might be in here, there might be a TA in there. Might have it open, maybe another student, and or maybe you could even tell someone, one of your friends, I want to jump in the course room at 10 o'clock and work on something, and you can use this feature. So let's just start at the bottom. So down here, this is my status and settings, and we can use this to exit the session. I'll talk about that later. This is where we have the audio options. So if you have a microphone, and most computers have a built-in one, they work just fine. You can click on this, the line disappears, and you can talk, and we can hear you. What we want you to do is leave that off unless you want to talk. And because what happens is if a lot of people have their microphones on, it kind of creates a funny noise. Like if your mic is giving out noise, ours will pick it up, and
it just gets amplified.
It does get amplified. This is the video. So if your computer has a camera, most of them do, you could see your face on the screen. We'll go live. We want you to be able to see us. We want to be able to see you as well, but I guess that the using the video uses up a ton of bandwidth, so it's probably best to turn it off unless you really want to have it on. It's a little weird on, but we do want to see you. So this is, if you have a question, you can raise your hand. So like if you had a question that you wanted to say, you wanted to speak, you can raise this, and what happens is it'll pop up here, and then we know, oh, Victoria has a question. So I can just ignore and say lower hand,
hey.
But I wouldn't do that. I would say, Victoria, what's your question? So that's a way that you can kind of raise your hand, and we can ask you what your question is. Now check this out in the bottom right. There's a kind of like an arrowhead down here. If I open this is kind of a new screen off to the side, and this is the chat. It's the first bubble here. It's the chat, and so this is another place where you can ask a question, and our TAs are gonna be in the lecture, and we'll both be here. So if you write something in the chat, then we can address it either through words, or maybe it's just something that we can type in. So if one of us is lecturing and someone has a question, it might be easy just to type it in. So like this, for instance, how did you open that tab? So it's the pink box lower right, and so we're going to try to use this as well, and hopefully it doesn't get overloaded, but it's all right. We're going to deal with it no matter what happens. So next to this is the chat bubble. Next to it, this is all the attendees that are present. So it's just us right now. So when you log into this, it's going to ask for your name, and please use your name. I know made up names are really funny and very cool, but use your name. That'll help us. We want to know who you are. This is a share content. This is pretty handy if you're having trouble. You could share your screen if you were doing work on your screen, or there's a whiteboard here. We can share files. There's things that we can use to see each other's workspace, and we'll be using this in lecture, and you'll get more comfortable with it when you see it. On the settings, I'm just using default, but check these out. There's notification settings, there's session settings. But like I said, I'm just using the default. I haven't played with this very much. So were you going to share content?
Sure.
Just so we're running a little short on time here. We want to keep this quick, but it is kind of a a neat thing. We'll be doing this in lecture, so if you don't get to it, that's okay.
I don't have to share.
Okay, we'll skip that. We'll save some time. So here's the chat, back to the chat bubble. There's the whiteboard. That's kind of a neat feature. Works pretty well. It actually works a lot better than that smart board. So back to the chat down here. So I can close this, but I would recommend leaving it open and in the chat screen, because I'm hoping that there's a lot of activity going on here. Up here in the upper left, we got the 3 lines. This is where we'll start the recording, and this will record the entire lecture, and a couple other options there. One of them is leave session, so if you want to leave the session, you can do that here. But we'll be recording these, so you don't have to be present for the live version, unless you want to. I think it's going to be fun, so it'll be more fun if you're present, but we'll see how that goes. All right, so the other way to leave the session, I think we're ready to leave the session.
I think so.
Is to just go down here. I can actually hit away. So maybe if I had to run to the restroom or something, I could hit away, and you'd know that, okay, he's just away. He'll be back. They're always looking for feedback on this. It's optional. Here's the leave session. Here's, looking for feedback. I'm just going to skip it this time. I don't know how it's going. And we're out. So we're running out of time too. Let's go back to Blackboard. I'm going to close this. And now I'm going to talk about you 10 o'clockers. So if I go to my home screen down here, this is the 10 o'clock session. It's a little bit different. It's going to work. It's going to work great. So if I go over here, now I've got where is it?
Right there. Link to lecture.
Link to lecture and extra help. It's with the course materials. So I'm going to select that. So that looks a little bit different. So here's the link to where we're going to do lecture, office hours, and extra help, and the recordings. So I'm just going to select that. This is the course room. So we're going to leave it open, at least initially. I think it's going to be fine. And so again, this is a place you can go and talk to someone, share work. You'll see when we do the lecture, it's quite powerful. It's really pretty handy. There's our dial-in number. And so that is how, if you're in the 10 o'clock, that's how you're going to access the course. Is there anything else we wanted to cover? We got about 2 minutes.
And here's where the recordings will
Right.
be.
So we'll be posting the recordings for lecture, for extra help, for our office hours. So, if we get questions or something in the office hours, and we'll record them so that you can see what other people have asked. We're not recording, if you wanted to come in and talk about your grade, we're not recording that. This is for, basically like we're doing practice problems or helping with MindTap or something. And this way everybody can see what was going on, what help was being given.
So in Blackboard, for any of your courses, if you find Blackboard Collaborate, there is a course room. There's an open course room. And as long as your instructor hasn't closed it, it's there. And that's what we're using. It's always there. It's always open. We're not creating a session for every lecture. We're not creating a session for every office hours like some other instructors might be. We're just going to the course room. So at any time, you can go in that course room. You can tell your friends, hey, meet me in the course room. We can go over whatever. So that's there. And we're just going to try and see if we can do everything out of that same room. And but you can go in there at any time, and then if a TA joins you, great.
So I got to wrap this up. I'm down to seconds now. One thing I wanted to mention is we'll be in here about 15 minutes before the lecture starts. If you'd like to pop in and just kind of play around a little bit and kind of get used to the settings, that'd be a great time to do it. Just jump in a little bit early, and we'll jump in early so we can kind of chat or talk or whatever you'd like to do. So looking forward to seeing y'all on Monday. Thanks for tuning in, and have a good night.
Bye-bye.